But it's a type of result that can have a huge bearing on the season going forward. It can be an absolute dagger. You know, any type of momentum that Liverpool were trying to build, that was colossal. The biggest loss in Europe at Anfield. It'll be tough to pick the players up after that.
Pick up on that point then, Richard. Like, is this a kind of a sort of a defining night for them? Because, you know, the owner came out during the week and said, no, we're not actually selling. We want a bit of investment, but we're here to stay. Klopp has said, I'm up for the rebuild, up to go again. Does it highlight that this now is almost drawing a line under what's been achieved, and that they need to really reinvest again this summer to go again?
They have to, and I think there's been a period where you've sort of almost made excuses for players and said, oh, they've played a lot of matches, it's been difficult for them, they got to all the final games of last season, so they must be a little bit tired. But there's just no sign that there's a consistent improvement in what they're trying to do. I think when you watch Liverpool, and they done it for 15 minutes last night where they pressed great, they caused Real Madrid real trouble, but after a certain period, one line presses, then the midfield doesn't follow or the defence doesn't follow. And when you're a pressing team, you need to be able to play high up the pitch. And every time a team attacks Liverpool, whether it's Gomez, Matip or Van Dijk, they just allow them to run. So the ball ends up getting carried another 30, 40 yards. Then they win it back outside their own box, and then they try and attack the other side. And I just think everyone's been looking at the defensive side of Liverpool in terms of Matip and Gomez and Van Dijk needing a partner and all that stuff. But the actual problem is possibly Van Dijk. I don't think he's recovered from his injury. I think when players run at him, he just doesn't put a tackle in anymore. And he's good for it, but you always see him putting his hands out and saying, oh, he should have done better, someone else should have done better. But you don't see him intercepting anymore. You don't see him winning balls on the halfway line. You don't see last-ditch tackles. There's just a passiveness to his whole.
Do you think there's almost a, the need to grasp the nettle on that, and that maybe he's not kind of like a sacred cow anymore in that team?
100%. He's not. He's one of those players where you think eventually he'll recover and he'll get back to where he was. But it's a couple of seasons now, and there's no real sign that things are changing, and the odd time he'll nip in and win the ball back. He's sort of changed his whole style of defending to be more of a coordinator, almost directing people down the line or directing people where he thinks they should be going, instead of actually making those tackles, being a big strong centre-half and getting stuck into stuff. He just seems to be very passive, and now the manager must look at that and go, right, well, actually, we need someone who... Konate's excellent. Konate's someone who can do it, and maybe he's the one that they're missing, and they need to build a defence around Konate rather than around Van Dijk.